She was the most popular girl in school.
She was a cheerleader.
She was going to be the prom queen.
She had the world at her feet.
But it all went away in an instant.
Her mother found her in a pool of blood.
She's just yelling, Quilla, 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 like hysterical.
I can't even imagine waking up to find her dead.
To find out who killed this beloved prom queen, detectives will have to cut through a tangled web of teenage drama.
She was supposed to be going out with him.
But she was taking someone else to prom.
He couldn't accept no for an answer.
I think everybody was just so horrified and shocked.
No one would expect it.
It was just too much, too much, too much.
Free!
And doesn't get an answer.
Girl, you need to get up.
Aquila's mother woke up and it was late, and Aquila wasn't getting ready for school.
Girl, you hear me? Aquila. Girl, you hear me? Oh my God. Aquila!
Nicole's shout jolts awake her brother Dana, who's asleep on the living room couch.
She's just yelling, Quilla, 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 like hysterical. So I want to see what she's yelling at.
Baby.
What's going on?
Aquila, she won't wake up. Aquila, baby.
She just looked like she was sleeping.
Help me turn her over. Oh my God.
Nicole flipped her over, and that's when I saw the mattress. It was all blood.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
He looked at her and said, Nicole, she's dead.
We got to go.
She gone.
Born in 1995, Aquila Flood was raised by a doting single mother and her loving family.
Nicole was always there in Aquila's life. She never wanted for anything, to my knowledge. And we're a pretty close-knit family. We lived so close by, so if Nicole had to go to work early, we took Aquila to school. There was never a situation where they were really needy. We made sure of that.
With her mother's support, Aquila thrived, growing into a happy, confident teen.
She had a big personality. Like, she was fun, caring, loving. Like, she just liked to live.
She was always popular. She knew everybody. You know, she was very outgoing.
She was also the cheerleading captain.
She was just so pretty. She was always like the pretty girl in our school.
At East Orange Campus High, the popular cheerleader was also the trendsetter.
She was really into fashion. She was really into the makeup and the hair. That was like our thing.
She really loved, you know, dressing up. Just even if it was to dress up just to take pictures and stuff. When Instagram first came out, she had, you know, like 2,000-3,000 followers.
Girls wanted, to either be like her or be her friend.
But it was the boys at Campus High who really took notice whenever Aquila walked by.
Hey, Aquila.
Hey, Tony.
Everybody wanted Aquila. But she was, like, skeptical because she know that a lot of these guys is just, out for what they out for.
She wasn't into your typical high school hookup. She wanted the real deal.
She always just wanted to find true love.
And in 2011, it seemed Aquila had finally found it when 16-year-old Almukadeem Means transferred to Campus High.
His friends called him Mook.
His personality was kind of like something that kind of drawed her to.
She liked dudes with a lot of confidence.
Didn't have to dress to impress me.
Stop. We just had practice.
Story of mine.
Aquila and Mook quickly became the couple everyone in school admired.
He just liked what he saw. He pursued her. I guess he decided to give him a chance.
She was the most popular thing in the school. He was the most popular thing in the school.
They had puppy love. They were really cute in school, in the hallways, in the lunchroom, after school. Their bond was really nice.
Everyone has a high school sweetheart. I feel like that was hers.
All right, y'all.
Loved and respected both at home and at school, Aquila felt more confident than ever and began to set her sights on her future.
She knew that she was smart and that she could get anything that she wanted if she worked for it.
She said she wanted to be a designer, and she was getting ready to go to school for designing.
Her intention was to go see what sort of doors and internships could open for her by going to school and studying that as a major, and eventually open up her own boutique and sell her own fashions that she was creating and coming up with.
She'd been accepted to a local liberal arts school and was hoping to use that as a jumping off point to bigger things.
Aquila had her dreams on going to Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City.
I was starting to teach her how to make patterns so she could sew.
With graduation little more than a month away, Aquila was ready to spread her wings.
We couldn't wait to get out of school, go to college. Everything was big that was happening.
Though there was one final milestone Aquila was ready to celebrate before saying goodbye to high school, senior prom.
In high school, going to prom is like getting married. That's like the biggest deal of your life.
Especially for Aquila.
She was supposed to be crowned prom queen.
She was the perfect fit, so everyone voted her as prom queen.
By June 4th, with the big night just a week away, prom was the only thing on Aquila's mind.
Her grandmother was going to make her dress for the prom, the dress that she had in mind and that she had designed for herself.
We both was going to ride together to prom with our dates. And the last text message I sent her, I told her I was going to talk to her the next day.
But Aquila never got the chance to respond.
All this blood. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Her mother found her daughter laying in bed, not moving, and then there was blood on her sheets.
They had leaked through the mattress to the floor.
She was already gone.
The mother dialed 911. She was very nervous, hysterical.
When police arrive on the scene moments later, it doesn't take long to realize what's happened to the young would-be prom queen.
It looked like it was just one single gunshot wound to the left side of her head. The person that did this collected the weapon. They were not looking to stage the scene as a suicide or anything of that nature.
Aquila Flood had been murdered.
June of 2013 was supposed to be the long-anticipated culmination of Aquila Flood's high school career.
We both was about to go off to college. We was ready to go to prom with our friends, everybody that we knew since freshman year. It was exciting.
Everyone voted her as prom queen. The classmates felt like she'd be a perfect fit.
But on the morning of June 5th, 1 week before the 17-year-old is supposed to be crowned, Aquila's dreams are shattered.
Oh my God!
Aquila had been found by her mother, deceased in bed. It appeared to be a gunshot wound.
The paramedics say she's dead. It was no chance that she could be alive.
When detectives arrive, they work quickly to get up to speed.
Once I got to the scene, I spoke to the responding officer, and she was telling me that the mother woke up approximately around 7 o'clock in the morning. She went to wake up her daughter for school, and that's when she discovered that her daughter was dead.
At first glance, it appears that Aquila may have been shot in her sleep.
It didn't appear that there was any sort of struggle at the scene. The room wasn't in disarray.
However, a closer examination soon gives detectives their first clue.
She was in the bed, and she was fully clad, which was kind of strange.
There was a bullet hole in the wall, away from the bed and at about eye level,
which would indicate that she was standing up at the time of the gunshot and that she was standing in the middle of the room at the time that she received the gunshot.
That's how we know that the scene was staged.
She wouldn't have landed on the bed.
Also, the blood was all dry, which would indicate that she had been in that bed for some time prior to her mother finding her.
Why someone would stage the scene isn't clear to detectives, but the scene does offer some additional clues.
The front door, the entrance to her apartment, there was no forced entry, so either the door was unlocked, purposely left unlocked, or somebody let the person in.
It could even have been Aquila who let her killer into the apartment.
This person had access to her in her bedroom, so it appeared that it was somebody that she knew.
But who? After processing the scene, detectives have Aquila's mother and uncle transported to the station for formal statements.
You want to look at all of the people present in the house, relatives, anybody close to her.
Before leaving the scene, detectives canvassed the apartment building.
There was no one that came forward and said they heard any gunshots, which was shocking to us because the shooting happened inside of an apartment building. We were thinking somebody inside the building from another floor, another neighbor on the same floor, but no.
It was pretty hard for detectives to believe that no one heard anything.
We very rarely ran into a situation where somebody uses a silencer on a gun, but we don't rule anything out, and we don't like to get tunnel vision.
The apartment's security office is also little help.
All the cameras in the building was dummy cameras. None of them worked.
With their canvas abuzz, detectives returned to the station to take statements from Aquila's mother and uncle.
She had been found by her mother, and her uncle was there and was sleeping on the couch that night. So we wanted to talk to the uncle and find out why he's there.
So you're living with your sister and your niece?
Yeah, it's temporary. Nicole helping me out, so she let me sleep on her couch till I get myself together.
I wasn't on my sister's lease. I wasn't supposed to be staying there.
Money was tight, and he just needed a place to go to get back on his feet, and his sister wanted to help him out.
He indicated to us that he had worked a full day, and that night he had gone out with his girlfriend.
He stated that he got home around 3 o'clock in the morning, and he noticed that his niece's bedroom light was on, and her TV was blaring.
Aquila.
She didn't answer, so he just assumed she'd just fallen asleep.
So he went into her bedroom, turned off the light, he turned off the TV.
I went back out the room, and I laid on the couch, and I woke up to my sister yelling.
And you had no idea she was dead?
Of course not. What you getting at?
Why would they put me in that? It didn't make any sense.
I wouldn't do nothing to that girl. That's my niece. That's family, and I love her like my own. Y'all tripping.
The uncle stated that he loved his niece and did not want to hurt his niece.
He was very overprotective of Aquila. He looked at Aquila as his daughter.
I was her favorite, basically. I'm big up on her.
Still, detectives had to rule him out as a possible suspect, which they couldn't do until they spoke with his girlfriend and got a clearer sense of Aquila's time of death from the medical examiner.
While they wait for answers, detectives turn to Aquila's grieving mother, Nicole.
I know this is going to be difficult for you, ma'am, but if you could, walk us through the night before.
The mother says she went into her daughter's room around 9 o'clock. That was the last time that she saw her daughter.
She went to her room, she took some medication.
The medication that she was taking really put her to sleep, kind of into a deep sleep.
Did you hear anything at all in the night?
No, I slept on to the morning.
She had apparently slept right through the gunshot, too.
Detectives have no reason to doubt Nicole's story.
There was no motive on Mom's part that we could identify.
We could tell the mother loved her daughter.
What about your brother? What was his relationship with your daughter like?
They're close, real close. He loves her.
She was adamant that he treated her like his daughter, that he was absolutely not somebody that should be looked at as a suspect.
Can you think of anybody who'd want to harm your daughter?
Not Aquila. She was prom queen, for goodness sakes. Everyone loved her.
But detectives knew that with popularity comes drama. So maybe there's some teenage drama going on here.
What about her boyfriend? Was she dating anyone?
Well, Moot.
Moot.
We learned that Aquila Flood used to date Al Muqaddam Means, but they broke up.
Why did they break up?
I don't know. They were just kids.
It was a relatively new breakup, maybe just a few months.
As she got mature and older and out of the high school sweetheart phase, she started to drift away from him.
Aquila had so much in front of her, a very, very promising future, and she no longer wanted to be with him.
Was she seeing anyone else since?
Lately she was talking about some boy.
Do you know his name?
All I know is she calls him Fresh.
It was like a very, very new sort of relationship. They had only been dating for a few weeks.
With a recent breakup and a new man in Aquila's life, detectives have to consider that either could be her killer.
There could be a scorned lover scenario going on here, or a love triangle gone wrong.
She was young, beautiful, and popular. Either someone wanted her and couldn't have her, or someone wanted to be her and needed her out of the picture.
On average, approximately 1,400 American teens between the ages of 15 and 19 are victims of firearm-related homicides every year. Behind traffic accidents, firearm-related homicides are the second leading cause of death for teenagers in the United States. After questioning Aquila Flood's mother and uncle, detectives have turned their sights to the murdered teen's inner circle.
Our next people we will go to will be her boyfriend or boyfriends and or friends.
According to her mother, Nicole, Aquila had recently broken up with 18-year-old Almuqadine Means and moved on to a new young man Aquila's mother only knows as Fresh.
She just started dating him probably a month prior to she's gone. So it was just like, what happened?
Detectives also had to consider that the prom queen may have been killed by a jealous rival.
Maybe Fresh had an ex who didn't like this new relationship. Or maybe she was a target in general because of her popularity.
Hoping to learn more, detectives pay a visit to East Orange Campus High School.
We wanted to get a better idea of who Aquila was at the time of her death and who she was interacting with.
Instead, they find the entire student body struggling to process the news that their prom queen is dead.
Word got around school quick that day. Everybody's crying in the hallway. It was like everybody lost a family member, basically.
She was literally friends with everyone. So it just really took a toll.
There were two people, however, who weren't crying in the hallways over news of Aquila's death.
One is her current boyfriend, Fresh.
He didn't go to our school. He was a brother of one of our close friends.
The other is Aquila's ex-boyfriend, Mook.
When detectives ask school officials about interviewing Mook, they're told he's no longer a student.
I had class in the beginning of the year, he was there, and then he just wasn't there anymore. Then come to find out he was arrested.
He was arrested from robbing another student on campus. A phone or like a wallet or something.
He did end up being expelled from the high school.
A quick records check reveals this wasn't an isolated incident.
He had a robbery charge, he had a gun charge, and he also had drug charges.
He just wanted to be more and more gangster, and everything just kept escalating with him.
Based on his record, detectives make finding Mook their first priority.
He was somebody of interest. Detectives did make attempts to locate him.
He had multiple addresses he was staying at.
They went to all of the known addresses, and he was not at any of those addresses.
However, detectives are able to track down Aquila's new boyfriend, Fresh.
He actually lived in the area and attended a neighboring high school.
He was still a minor, but detectives got permission to interview him.
I assume you heard about Aquila.
Yeah, everyone's been texting me about it all day. It's messed up, man.
Unlike Mook, Fresh didn't have a record. At least not yet.
He was in the streets a little bit, like that.
When was the last time you saw Aquila?
He was like, I was texting her last night. We were supposed to meet up, and she never came.
Of course, they're thinking it was possible he was lying and they did meet up. Or maybe Aquila met someone else instead.
You know Mook?
I never really met him.
They didn't know each other, but they knew of each other.
Do you know anybody else that Aquila's been dating?
Well, this is the guy who was taking her to prom.
Suddenly, Fresh had added a new guy into the mix.
Before she started going on Fresh, she already had her prom day set.
His name is Steven Johnson.
He was someone, popular, handsome kid, played football, she cheerlead.
She figured that that'd be a brilliant idea to bring someone like Steven to prom.
How do you feel about somebody else taking her to prom?
I mean, it's cool. They're just friends.
She wasn't dating him. He was the prom king. She was going to be the prom queen, so it was a connection for the prom.
Fresh didn't seem jealous that she was going to prom with someone else.
Or is he just good at hiding it?
Where were you last night, say from midnight on?
It was a school night. I was home asleep.
Fresh didn't have anyone who could provide him with an alibi for the night of the murder.
They now had 3 boys who were in Aquila's life. 3 boys that she might have seen on the night she died. And so far, they couldn't rule out any of them as a potential suspect.
Detectives continue their search for Mook and issue a bolo for Stephen Johnson.
At this point, these young men were their biggest leads.
As the sun sets on the first day of their investigation, detectives try a new approach to track down their killer.
We recanvassed that area for any surveillance video.
Detectives had struck out early when they looked for cameras in Aquila's building, but there could be others on the surrounding block.
A few doors down the street, detectives locate a camera that covers Aquila's building.
The officers were able to pull video surveillance that showed the front door.
Reviewing the video reveals an African-American male outside Aquila's building at around 1:30 on the morning of the murder.
Looked like that person entered the apartment building and then went upstairs.
A few minutes later, he's back.
A subject could be seen running from that front door at a high rate of speed.
Unfortunately for detectives, the footage was grainy and from pretty far away.
You can identify that it's one figure wearing the same type of clothing running back and forth from the apartment building, but you wouldn't be able to identify his face.
However, the video may not be a total bust for detectives.
Once he leaves, then he goes across the street to a parking lot, and then he comes back out shortly thereafter.
Detectives had a pretty good guess about what he was doing.
The sergeant who was viewing it told me, we're going to go back, we're going to look through that parking lot, and we're going to find the weapon.
New Jersey detectives investigating the murder of 17-year-old Aquila Flood have just found security footage showing an unidentified man running from her apartment building on the morning of the murder.
He left around 1:30 a.m. and took a short detour to the parking lot across the street.
So that prompted us to say, well, let's see what he was doing in the parking lot.
After viewing the video, detectives descend on the parking lot in full force.
We looked up under every car, and underneath a Mercedes-Benz, we found a .38 caliber handgun.
There was one spent shell casing in the revolver, and that's the indication to us that this was most likely our murder weapon.
The gun is sent down for ballistics, and it was also tested for any latent prints.
Detectives wanted to confirm that it was a match for the .38 slug that they dug out of the wall of Aquila's bedroom.
The next morning, when detectives receive the results of Aquila's autopsy, they further suggest that the man in the video is the shooter.
The autopsy revealed that no significant decomposition had started on the body, that she had been dead for a few hours before she had been found. So the timeline appeared to match that she would have received that fatal gunshot wound at about 1:30 in the morning.
But who was the shooter?
The video was blurry. You couldn't really make a positive ID from it.
At this point, detectives were thinking it's either Stephen, Fresh, or Mook.
With one boyfriend already questioned and bolos out for the others, detectives turned to Aquila's close friends, hoping for more information on the young teen's personal life.
On the 6th, we were able to bring in her friends from the school.
We were certainly interested in whether or not she had any kind of enemies, whether it be because she was going to be the prom queen, whether it be for other reasons.
Everyone loved Aquila. For real, I can't think of anyone at school that didn't get along with her.
Aquila didn't have any enemies. Everyone has little fights or girls that don't like them, guys that are mad, but it was never to the point that, okay, yeah, I'm gonna kill her.
She didn't have no one that was like after her or wanted to harm her.
However, Aquila's friends do admit there's one guy they can't help but be suspicious of.
The first thing I thought, because I knew she was supposed to be going with Fresh. I'm like, was it Fresh?
I heard that rumor as well, that Fresh was possibly the person.
She just started dating him and she's gone.
Detectives took their suspicions seriously since Fresh didn't have an alibi.
Any idea why you think he would have done it?
That's what I just don't understand. He was sweet and genuine.
He would call her all the time. It just felt comfortable.
We actually had genuine love for each other.
We heard she was going to prom with someone else. Would Fresh get mad at something like that?
No, he was cool her going with Steve. It didn't mean anything.
It was just like, we're going together. We're all going to just hop into this limo.
And Steve, did he want to be anything more than just her prom date?
There was no romantic interest from what her friends were telling us, either on her end or even on his end. They were just good friends.
Did anyone else ask for a prom?
Mook did.
I thought he was expelled.
Well, he still wanted to go.
The last time that he came home from jail, he asked her to come to our prom, and she said no.
He left it alone for a while, but as the date got closer, he asked her again, and he got so upset that he said some foul things to her.
That was a huge red flag for detectives.
Though it's what Mook did after the murder that really piques detectives' interests.
El Mugadeen Means was reaching out to Quilla Flood's friends to talk to them about what had happened.
What did he say?
He told us he'd been in her apartment.
That night?
Yeah.
He admits he stopped by. He was like, I stopped by when I left, she was alive.
She had told him that he had to leave because she was expecting another male visitor.
Did Mook say who she was expecting?
No, but he kind of hinted that it was Fresh.
To detectives, there's only one way to find out who Aquila's visitor was that night.
Aquila was a teenage girl. Her whole life revolved around her cell phone.
Detectives pull Aquila's cell phone records and begin pouring through her text history.
It would appear that she was communicating with her friends about how excited she was to go to the prom.
However, there were no texts or anything to indicate that Aquila had been expecting Fresh to come over that night.
They were going to try to meet up, but the plan was never for him to come see her. She was going to try to go see him.
As detectives begin zeroing in on Mook, they get an unexpected call from the East Orange 911 dispatch center.
We learned that another 911 call had been placed at approximately 1:40, 1:45 that morning from that same general area.
Oh, that's great. Can you send it over? Thank you.
We didn't know if it was related at that time.
But when detectives pull the call, they're stunned by what they hear.
He was basically describing Aquila's murder.
The only way you would know these details is if you were in the room with her.
911, where's your emergency?
Hello, somebody died on Road Street. Somebody got shot in the head.
Detectives investigating the murder of Aquila Flood have learned of a second 911 call made just hours before the young teen's body was discovered.
They were saying that there was a person shot.
The call came in from the vicinity of Aquila's apartment building, and around the time detectives believe the murder occurred.
The 911 call came in at approximately 1:41 a.m. and he stated he's outside and he heard a gunshot and the girl got shot in the head. That there was blood all over.
All I see is blood, like the window. I was in the parking lot.
Okay, you was in the parking lot, but you just told me you was in your window. So were you in the parking lot or were you in your window?
It's clear the operator suspected something was off.
The 911 call taker asked him, if you're outside in the parking lot, how could you see that there was a girl that was shot inside the house? And he said, no, well, I heard the one shot, then I heard the girl go, oh.
The window that I could see from the parking lot. All I heard was a gunshot, man, and I see blood splatter on the window and the scream. I heard the girl's gasp. She said, oh.
At that point, the 911 operator was starting to get suspicious.
You could tell right there he's lying, and that he was the person that probably was the murderer.
You heard her, but you never saw her.
No, man.
All right, because you said you saw a female shot in the head.
And I said it because I seen a guy. I seen a guy running.
All right, well, hold on. Now he's saying he didn't see it. He heard a shot. He keeps changing up the story. And I can't get him to come out and speak with you guys. Hello?
But as strange as the 911 call was, the real surprise for detectives was who supposedly made it.
This person had provided their actual name to law enforcement.
It was Al-Muqaddim Means. He identified himself, and he also provided his telephone number.
Officers actually did make contact with him that night.
The officer that responded to that 911 call, he actually saw Al-Muqaddim Means walking westbound on William Street from the crime scene.
The problem, officer?
Yeah, somebody called about some shots fired.
That was me.
He said the gunshots was down by that apartment building on Grove and William.
Did you see anything? You see anybody with a gun?
No, not really.
Al-Muqaddim Means was a little nervous.
He indicated to them that he thought he had seen something through a window. He couldn't tell them exactly what he saw.
Man, the caller said something about a girl.
Look, man, I can't really tell you anything, and I gotta get home.
Hey, man, wait a minute. Hey, man, hold on, hey.
He broke off communication with the officers and proceeded to walk away from them and not be responsive to any of their questions. Al-Muqaddim Means never called back to 911 to clarify any of the comments that he made.
They didn't have enough to bring him in. There was nothing there. They just let him go.
The officers did drive around the area and they could not find anything out on the street. They could not hear anybody calling for help.
Now, less than 48 hours later, the entire incident leaves detectives more than a little puzzled.
Why would Mook call police if he just shot his ex-girlfriend?
It seemed like from the 911 call that he placed that he was somewhat panicked, and it might have just been an instinctive reaction.
I can't tell you what's going through his head, but it was very odd that he actually did dial 911.
It's just not something that normally occurs in a homicide investigation.
This new development jolts Mook to the top of the suspect list.
The word was out that he was a suspect and a person of interest in this investigation, that he was somebody that law enforcement was looking for.
It was just a manhunt for him. They kept trying to catch him, and it's like every time they thought they had him, he would not be there.
With Mook apparently in hiding, detectives file a communications data warrant in hopes of tracking his phone.
Once we applied for the CDW, a couple of days would go by because we had to wait until we could get that back from the phone carrier.
While they wait, detectives receive the ballistics results on the .38 recovered from the parking lot across from Aquila's building.
It was identified as the murder weapon.
And that's not all.
The latent print was lifted off that weapon.
It's a match for a print in Mook's police file.
We could put the weapon literally in his hands.
But will they be able to put him in handcuffs? Finally, on June 10th, detectives zero in on their prime suspect.
5 days after the murder, the FBI Fugitive Task Force was able to trace Al-Muqaddim's cell phone.
Federal marshals move quickly to apprehend Mook at the location, a friend's residence on the outskirts of town.
They knocked on the door. His friend answered.
Hey, we have a warrant for the arrest of Al-Muqaddim Means.
He ain't here, man.
They could hear some scuffling.
Get away, get back! Hold it right there!
It sounded like someone opening a window.
All units, he's on the roof.
The thing that kept going through my mind was, like, where could he be? Like, who could be hiding him? Everyone was really on a hunt for him. We just wanted to find him. We honestly just wanted to know why. That was the biggest question. We just wanted to find him so we could get answers.
5 days after the murder of 17-year-old Aquila Flood, federal marshals have finally tracked down the man they believe to be her killer, 18-year-old Al-Muqaddin Means.
But just as they thought they had Mook cornered, he went out of a window.
All units, he's on the roof.
He was trying to really escape and was jumping roof to roof.
Mook doesn't get far, though.
He was preparing himself to jump from one roof to the other when he was apprehended.
Freeze! I didn't do anything.
Put your hands behind your head and get down on your knees. Don't move.
They apprehended him on the roof. They brought him back down. And once they got back to the office, we took a formal Miranda statement from Al-Muqaddin Means.
In his statement, Mook admitted to detectives he'd gone over to Aquila's apartment that evening.
I just wanted to talk to her.
He stated that she let him in, and she told him that you're going to have to leave now because her boyfriend is coming by.
He indicated that he then showed her the gun.
Though according to Mook, he'd never intended to shoot Aquila.
He stated that they then started tussling for the gun and the gun went off.
While it's an elaborate tale, detectives don't buy a word of it.
We knew that there was not a struggle for the gun. The crime scene don't show any signs of a struggle. If she got shot in the head, how did she get herself back in the bed? We knew he was lying about that.
They'd also read her text and knew that nobody was coming over that night.
Why don't you tell me what really happened?
Rather than an accidental shooting, detectives believe Mook killed Aquila in a moment of rage.
Look, you shouldn't come over here anymore.
I just want to talk.
I don't think he could deal with like the fact that she was with someone else and not him.
You have to let me go to prom with you.
I already told you no.
She just was over it. She was over him at that point.
I ain't gonna ask you again.
What is your problem? Get out of my house.
My opinion to what had happened was he brandished a handgun and probably tried to scare her with that handgun.
I don't know if it like his pride or what it was.
I'm not leaving until you tell me why.
Why? Because you're crazy. Now get out.
He killed Aquila basically in cold blood. He shot her in the head and then he picked the body up. Later in the bed,
he ran out that apartment building to hide the gun. He walked to the corner, placed that 911 call.
We were never able to really explain why he did call 911 that night. There was no indication that he was doing it to try to save her or any sort of concern for her.
Though Mook insists they've got the wrong idea, detectives have heard enough.
Stand up for me.
Al-Muqaddin Means was charged with the murder of Aquila Flood, the unlawful possession of the weapon, and possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose.
While it's news that Aquila's friends and family have been waiting for, it leaves them torn.
I was relieved. I was happy that he was found. But, you know, in the back of my mind, I still wanted a little bit of street justice.
I would have been content with him being dead.
Instead, it's Aquila who's dead. And 2 days after her killer's arrest, friends and family say their final goodbyes.
We buried her the day before prom. 2 weeks before graduation.
They sent off doves. They sent off butterflies. It was just so much love.
She was buried in her prom dress and the way she wanted her makeup for prom and the way she was going to wear her hair. And that really hurt everyone. Because she would never get to go.
But will she get justice? As the trial date approaches, Al-Muqaddin Means pleads guilty in exchange for a lesser charge.
It was reduced down to aggravated manslaughter at the time of the plea.
A plea of aggravated manslaughter meant that he faced a maximum of 30 years in prison.
The decision is a bitter disappointment for Aquila's family.
My daughter wanted him to have 60 years. I felt it should be a life for life.
The sentencing was a very, very tense event. Al-Muqaddin Means' family did ask the court to reduce the number of years in the sentence.
His father, his mother, everybody came to his defense.
Mook takes the opportunity to address the court as well.
She said, I apologize. I didn't mean to kill Quilla. I loved her. This is what he said.
That really emotionally affected Aquila Flood's family. Words were kind of exchanged back and forth.
With tensions running high, the judge hands down Al-Muqaddin's sentence. 24 years in prison.
24 years is, like, not enough.
I felt like Mook was getting off very easy.
Unlike Aquila, Mook will still have a chance to make something of his life.
She's going forever. And he gets to come home when he's, 40? And I have a life and I have kids. It just hurts. It's not fair.
She was only 17. She didn't even really get to live life.
It's a loss that will haunt Aquila's friends and family for the rest of their lives.
I miss her saying Big Uncle. That's one of the main things I miss. Just her just saying my name, just calling me.
I just miss her laugh, for real. Like when I dream, I can still hear her laughing.
I miss my baby. She was my heart. You can't get that back.
She'd found new love in a new city.
I was happy for her. Happy that she's finally met someone.
They was lovey-dovey.
It was like a fairy tale.
But behind closed doors, things aren't always as picture perfect as they seem.
She became a different person when she was with him.
There'd been some period of time that they had not heard from her.
I did not know what my baby was.
It was not unusual for Cree to leave town. People run away and try to get a new life.
Is this a case of miscommunication or murder?
This was the kind of person who, if there was a disagreement, would probably resort to violence.
I'm very suspicious that she was involved. Somebody knows more than what they were saying.
She would never, ever leave her daughter. She's not going to do that.
Desperation will keep her family searching for the painful truth.
This is a nightmare that nobody wanted to believe.
It's monsters, Miss Will, that do terrible things for no reason, just because.
July 1st, 2016. It's a warm Friday evening in Newark, New Jersey, when local resident Dee Dee Smith receives a worrying call about her 7-year-old granddaughter.
Her other grandmother. She called me and told me my granddaughter had an ear infection.
She says she tried taking her to the clinic, but she couldn't because she didn't have her insurance card.
School had let out in June, and Cree had taken her daughter to stay with
Professor Paul Berglund. They've been here for a few weeks. Jimmy crouched down, examining the floorboards around the body without touching them. Right, take as many photos as you can, the body, the surrounding area, and inside the croft. Get the angles of the broken glass, and then email them to the pathology lab in Inverness. Do you think you can manage that? Of course, Sandy said, though he didn't move. Jimmy stood up and looked closely at his DC. Sandy's eyes were bloodshot, his skin sallow. You sure? Jimmy asked, his tone sharpening. Because your eyes look like piss holes in the snow. Sandy flinched. Sorry, sir. Late night. I thought I was off duty. We're never off duty here. Sandy, you still not got that yet. Don't worry. It happens to the best of us. Jimmy sighed, softening slightly. It's not that, is it? It's the shock. It's the Dutch chocolate vodka from last night, Sandy admitted miserably. I was drinking over in Lerwick. Right. Well, sober up fast. Go film your cousin Ronald, the one who found her. I've not met him. His mother and my mother were cousins, Sandy explained, adjusting the camera strap. He's taking his place on his family's pelagic trawler, the Cassandra. Yeah, she's a beauty. State of the art, Jimmy noted, filing the information away. Fishing in Shetland was big business, and pelagic trawlers were floating factories worth millions. Not like my old man's tugboat. I hear the Haldanes are worth a fortune. Is that right? They've got part of the fishing quota. They do okay. Sandy nodded. Aye, they're rich. Does that cause any problems between the families? Jimmy asked quietly, watching Sandy's reaction. Your family has the land. Their family has the money? Sandy bristled defensively. No tension. We're family. Jimmy didn't press it. Family in Shetland was a complicated web. Go take the photos, Sandy. Then I want you to go home. Be with your dad. He's going to need you. Chapter 4, The Alibi. Ronald Holdan was a mountain of a man, built like a brick outhouse with a thick red beard and hands the size of dinner plates. He stood outside his own croft, a mile down the road from Mima's, smoking a cigarette with trembling fingers. Jimmy approached him slowly, letting the man see him coming. "Mr. Holden, I'm De Perez. I'm sorry for your loss." Ronald took a drag of his cigarette, the tip glowing fiercely in the gloom. "It's a bad business. Bloody awful. Who would do a thing like that to an old woman?" "You must be stunned," Jimmy said, his voice soothing but probing. "But I'm going to have to ask you a few questions. You passed by the croft last night?" Ronald grunted. "I was just on my way home. I was drinking over in Lerwick, like I do most nights when I'm off shift." "Drinking heavily?" "Look, I'm no long back from sea," Ronald said, a defensive edge creeping into his voice. "I don't know what to do with myself on land. Now get off my back. For goodness sake. It's my auntie lying dead up there." "All right, take it easy." Jimmy placated him. "Just walk me through your night. These days, the deep sea ships only port at the main island. So you were in Lerwick." I missed the last ferry back to Bresse. Had a wee nightcap at the pub." "Which pub?" "The Cali. I slept in my car at the terminal, then got the first ferry over this morning. That's when I drove past and saw the glass." Jimmy noted the timeline. It was plausible, but it lacked witnesses for the crucial hours. "What about your wife, Anna? Was she at home alone all night?" Ronald scowled. The baby was sleeping. "Anna took the opportunity to join me in Lerwick for a bit earlier in the evening, but she came back early. My mom, Jackie, was here keeping an eye on the bairn." "How long did Jackie stay?" "Half an hour. Anna said she came over to tell us about a piece of bone she found at the dig." Jimmy's interest piqued. "The archaeological dig on Mima's land? Your mother volunteers there?" She's actually quite excited about it. Found an old bone." Jimmy nodded slowly. "Right. One last thing. Ronald, you hold a shotgun license, don't you?" Ronald stiffened. "Aye, for the rabbits." "Has the gun been fired recently?" I went out shooting rabbits after I got home last week. You often go out lamping with a spotlight. I'll need to take the gun. Now, if you don't mind, for testing, routine elimination. Ronald stared at him for a long moment, the hostility radiating off him in waves. Finally, he nodded sharply. Fine. It's in the lockbox. As Jimmy secured the weapon in the trunk of his car, Tosh pulled up in an unmarked police vehicle. She hopped out, pulling a beanie down over her ears against the cold. Boss, she greeted him. Forensics are on the ferry over. What have we got? Mima Wilson, late 70s. Shotgun blast to the chest at close range. Found by her nephew, Ronald Holdan, who conveniently missed his ferry last night and has no alibi. Jimmy briefed her rapidly. I want you to head over to the archaeological dig behind the croft. Find a Professor Paul Berglund and a student named Hattie James. See what they know. Apparently, Mima's sister found a bone yesterday, and people were excited about it. Tosh frowned. A bone, animal or human? That's what you're going to find out, Jimmy said. And Tosh, watch your step. The ground is saturated and tensions are high. Everyone on this island is related to the victim in one way or another. Chapter 5, The Pars Orbital. The archaeological dig was a scar of dark peat carved into the vibrant green of the hill. Tarpaulins flapped aggressively in the wind, anchored by heavy stones. Deep trenches had been meticulously dug, revealing layers of dark, rich soil and the gray stone foundations of what looked like an ancient longhouse. Tosh picked her way carefully across the muddy boards, her boots sinking into the muck. A young woman in a waterproof jacket and muddy trousers was sitting on a plastic crate near the main trench, her head in her hands. She looked up as Tosh approached. She had pale skin, dark circles under her eyes, and a striking brace on her teeth that glinted in the dull light. Hattie James, Tosh asked, flashing her badge. I'm D.C. McIntosh. I need to ask you a few questions about Mima Wilson. Hattie let out a shuddering breath. Oh, God. Oh, God. I know. It's awful. She pulled her coat tighter around herself. Tosh noticed it was an older, slightly frayed wool coat, far too big for her. Is that Mima's coat? Tosh asked gently. Hattie nodded, tears spilling over her lower lashes. Yes, it was pouring down yesterday. Mima saw me shivering. She was like that. Kind. She gave me the jacket. Said I could keep it. That was very generous of her, Tosh said, her mind working quickly. The killer had shot a woman wearing that coat in the dark. Could it be a case of mistaken identity? Was that the last time you saw her? No. Hattie wiped her nose. No. I was with her last night. Tosh straightened up. What time? I left the pub in Lerwick about 9. I caught the late ferry back to Bressay. I stopped in and had a quick cup of tea with her. She just seemed like her normal self. Did she mention anyone coming to see her? Anyone she was worried about? No, Hattie said, her voice shaking. But Mima was a bit funny at the dig earlier yesterday. Funny how? Hattie pointed to the deepest trench. Sophie and I were working down there with Jackie. Jackie Holdan, Ronald's mother. She volunteers to help us sift. Mima turned up with some tea in a thermos just as Jackie found a piece of bone. What kind of bone? Hattie swallowed. I was hoping it was just a fragment of animal pottery or an animal bone. But I'm a paleoanthropology student. I know what I'm looking at. It was a pars orbital. Tosh raised an eyebrow, silently asking for translation. A piece of a human skull, Hattie clarified, her voice dropping to a whisper, right above the eye socket. And Mima saw it? Yes. She went pale. She dropped the thermos. It shattered everywhere. Hattie looked around the desolate landscape nervously. Maybe she didn't like the idea of living so close to the dead. I don't know. Tosh thanked the girl and headed back to her car to call Paris. A human skull found on the property on the same day the owner is murdered. In Shetland, there were no coincidences, only history coming back to bite you. Chapter 6. The Grieving Son. Jimmy Perez sat in the small, immaculate living room of Joseph Wilson's house in Lerwick. Joseph, Mima's son and Sandy's father, was a stark contrast to the rugged Ronald Holdan. Joseph was a neat, precise man who worked as an accountant. Right now, however, that precision was shattered. His eyes were red-rimmed, his hands tightly clasped in his lap. Sandy stood behind him, a silent, protective shadow. "I'm sorry for your loss, Joseph," Jimmy said softly. "It's a hell of a thing to lose your mother like that." Joseph stared at the floral pattern on the rug. "She wasn't an easy woman, Jimmy. You know that. It's not an argument in an empty room to say she was stubborn. But she was my mother. She did not deserve to die like a dog in the dark." "No, she didn't," Jimmy agreed. "Joseph, I have to ask, where were you last night?" Joseph looked up, his face flashing with sudden anger. "Are you asking if I shot my own mother?" "I'm asking everyone where they were," Jimmy replied evenly. "It's procedure." Joseph deflated. "I wasn't sure if you were in the station when I called." "That's right. I was over at Lerwick, picking up some new nets for the boat. Missed the last ferry. Slept in the car at the harbor." Jimmy felt a prickle of unease. "Ronald Holdan told me the exact same story. You both slept in your cars at the ferry terminal?" Joseph hesitated. "It happens. The ferry schedule is unforgiving." "Did you see each other?" "No. It was dark, pouring rain." Jimmy turned his attention to Sandy. "Sandy, you've got some leave due. I want you to stay with your dad, because he needs you." Sandy bristled, stepping forward. "I want to help with the case, sir. I'm capable of more than making tea, if you'll give me a chance." "I know you are, Sandy," Jimmy said, his voice firm. "But it's difficult. It's a conflict of interest. Right now, your job is to get your dad to take stock of what might have been taken from the croft, because we need to be sure it wasn't a burglary gone wrong." Jimmy stood up to leave. As he reached the door, he paused. "Joseph, what's going to happen to the dig now? Mima's land?" Joseph looked away. It looks like I'm going to have to close it down. Too many bad memories now. Will you put the place up for sale? Jimmy asked quietly. I know Duncan Hunter has been trying to get Mima to sell the land for years to build those luxury holiday cottages. She would never agree, Joseph whispered. Never. It was her life. But she's gone now, Jimmy pointed out gently, and the land is yours. Joseph didn't answer. He just buried his face in his hands and wept. Chapter 7. Shadows of the Shetland Bus. The Holden residence was a large, imposing stone house that spoke of generations of fishing wealth. Jimmy was shown into the drawing room by Jackie Holden, a sharp-eyed woman in her 60s with immaculate hair and a posture that demanded respect. Sitting by the roaring fire was Andrew Holden, Ronald's grandfather and the patriarch of the family. He was frail, his skin like translucent parchment, wrapped in a heavy tartan blanket. Jackie, Jimmy nodded. Mr. Holden. Jimmy, isn't it? Andrew rasped, his voice sounding like dry leaves. I knew your mother when she was a girl. Ah, much the same. You still keep my old man on his toes. Trying to, sir. Jimmy smiled politely. He turned to Jackie. I heard you were wetting the baby's head yesterday evening. Over at Ronald's. Better late than never, Jackie said briskly, offering him a seat. Have you any news yet about Mima? Not yet. I'm trying to piece the families together, just so that I understand this. You and Joseph's late wife were cousins. Am I right? Jackie nodded. Aye. But we're all connected in one way or another in Shetland, aren't we? One big happy family. Her tone suggested otherwise. Since all those incomers came to work at Sullenbo Oil Terminal, you wouldn't know who was on the islands half the time. It's not safe anymore. Nobody likes to think the threat is local, Jimmy said carefully. But 9 times out of 10, victims know their killers. Jackie, you were at Anna and Ronald's house last night. Did you notice any strangers on your way home? I didn't. Sorry. I was in after that. My father, she nodded toward the sleeping old man, can't be left alone for any length of time. Jimmy leaned forward. Hattie James, the student from the dig, said that Mima was a bit put out when you found that piece of human skull. Jackie waved a dismissive hand. It was nothing. She was quite possessive of her land. That's all. Mima never liked people digging up the past. Speaking of the past, Jimmy said, his eyes scanning the photographs on the mantelpiece. One black and white picture caught his eye. It showed two young men in thick woolen sweaters standing on the deck of a small, battered fishing boat. Is that your father, Jackie, and Jerry Wilson, Mima's husband? Andrew Holdan suddenly stirred, his milky eyes fixing on Jimmy. The Shetland boss, the old man wheezed. Yes, Mr. Holdan, Jimmy said respectfully, during the war. Local boats, Andrew whispered, his mind slipping back 60 years. We were used to transport saboteurs into Norway. Across the North Sea in the dead of winter, hiding from the Nazi patrols. Brave men, Jimmy acknowledged. Jerry Wilson was a good man, Andrew said, his voice gaining a momentary strength. But he brought back more than just refugees. He brought back ghosts. Jackie quickly stepped in, her face tight. Don't forget your pills, Dad. I took them already. Come now. You're tired. She effectively ended the interview, ushering Jimmy toward the door. As he stepped out into the freezing air, Jimmy couldn't shake the feeling that the past was bleeding heavily into the present. A human skull, a WWII covert operation, a murdered old woman. The pieces were there, but the puzzle picture was obscured by a heavy Shetland fog. Chapter 8, Boiling Point. The rest of the day was a grueling blur of paperwork, coordinating search teams, and dealing with the press. The murder of an elderly woman on a small island was headline news across Scotland. By the time Jimmy got home, the sky was pitch black and the wind was howling a mournful tune around the eaves of his house. He found Cassie in the kitchen, sitting cross-legged on the counter, watching a pot of water boil. I'm making pasta, Jimmy announced, shrugging off his coat and rolling up his sleeves. he grabbed a box of dry spaghetti and a jar of sauce. Cassie watched him with a critical eye. Mom was right. Cooking's all about timing, and you don't have it. I have excellent timing. Jimmy lied, dumping the pasta into the water without waiting for a rolling boil. 1 minute. I don't know why you don't just let me cook. She sighed, hopping off the counter. Because I like cooking. Well, that may be, but you're rubbish at it. Pasta should be served al dente. Oh, is that right? Well, use that al fresco tone if you like, but you're eating it. Jimmy smiled, trying to inject some normalcy into the house. The shadow of Mima Wilson's death hung heavy over him. Cassie picked at the label on the pasta sauce jar. Can I go over to Maury's after dinner? Jimmy stopped stirring. The image of Mima's shattered door flashed in his mind. No. Why? Cassie whined. It's Friday. Because it's late. It's getting dark. And Jimmy paused, trying to find the right words that wouldn't terrify her. And there's an active investigation going on. You mean there's a killer on the loose? Cassie said it bluntly. Children in Shetland grew up pragmatic. In fact, until this Mima Wilson business is over, I don't want you going anywhere on your own, Jimmy said firmly. School, home, and nowhere else unless I'm with you. Cassie rolled her eyes dramatically. Dad, it's Shetland, not Chicago. I don't care, Jimmy snapped, his anxiety flaring. He took a deep breath, reining it in. Please, Cass, just for a few days. Do it for my blood pressure. Later that evening, after a dinner of distinctly al dente pasta, the doorbell rang. It was Duncan Hunter. Jimmy let him in, offering him a beer, which Duncan accepted with a nod. They sat in the living room, the atmosphere strained but civil. What's this I hear about you trying to buy Mima Wilson's place in Bressay? Jimmy asked, cutting straight to the chase. Duncan took a sip of his beer, unbothered. Word travels fast. It's true. I want to build holiday lets. The view up there is spectacular. Tourists would pay a premium. Chris Dinkins said you're turning into Shetland's answer to Donald Trump. Jimmy observed wryly. Oddly, I take that as a compliment. Duncan smirked. Anyway, no joy. Joseph wanted the deal to go through, but unfortunately, it's not his land. Mima held the deed tight. It is his land now, Jimmy pointed out, watching Duncan's reaction closely. Duncan held his hands up. Ho, Jimmy, I might be a capitalist, but I'm not a murderer. I had no idea what happened until I heard it from Craig this morning. I could do without the uphill battle here. People will think Ronald Holdan got drunk and shot Mima by accident, or that I paid someone to do it. Well, thinking's fine, Jimmy said softly, leaning forward. But I have to be sure. I know your problem. Duncan sighed, leaning back. You think it's perfect here. You want this island protected at all costs. You want it frozen in amber. But things change. Jimmy, a wee bit more sunshine, and you'd turn it into Benidorm if the money was right. I wish, Jimmy muttered. Nah, you know, I just think most people here don't want to lager their souls for a quick buck. Before the argument could escalate, Cassie walked into the room, wearing her pajamas. Night, Dad. Night, Duncan. Cassie, Duncan said, his face softening instantly into genuine affection. Come and say good night to your father. Cassie walked over and hugged Duncan. See you the weekend. Okay. Duncan smiled. After she left the room, Duncan stared at the doorway for a long time. She's another thing that'll change. She'll get bored of Shetland soon. She'll go back to the mainland for university. You'll see. Jimmy felt a tight knot in his chest. After Fran and me split up and you guys got together, I thought I'd never see Cass again. So I can't thank you enough for letting her stay with me after her mom passed. Duncan looked at Jimmy, his arrogant facade dropping for a rare moment. It wasn't completely selfless. Jimmy, you want to be here more than she does right now. You give her stability. You're her dad. I'm just her father. Jimmy nodded slowly, the shared grief over Fran momentarily bridging the massive gap between the two men. Looks like hard work. It is, Duncan agreed, finishing his beer. Keep her safe, Jimmy. Chapter 9, Flight. The next morning broke cold and clear, a rare reprieve from the relentless rain. Jimmy arrived at the station early, a takeaway coffee in hand. Tosh was already at her desk, looking stressed. "Sir, we have a problem," she announced as soon as Jimmy took his coat off. "I went back to the dig this morning to speak to Professor Berglund. And he's gone, packed his bags, and bolted. I spoke to the owner of the B&B where he was staying. He left at the crack of dawn." Jimmy's blood ran cold. Flight equaled guilt in his book. "Did you get a description?" "Scandinavian looking, mid-40s. Wearing a Gore-Tex waterproof." Tosh deadpanned. "Thanks, B&B owner. That really narrows it down on a ferry full of fishermen and tourists." Berglund was on the ferry that just left for Aberdeen. Craig chimed in from his desk, holding a printed passenger manifest. "Damn it," Jimmy swore. "Craig, get McCabe to radio Aberdeen police. Have them intercept him at the terminal. I want him brought back here immediately." On it, Craig said, dialing his phone. "Okay." Jimmy paced the room, his mind racing. "We're going to have to go through the CCTV at the Lerwick Ferry Terminal for the night of the murder. I need to know if Joseph Wilson or Ronald Holdan were actually sleeping in their cars like they claimed, or if they took a private boat across the Sound." He turned to a whiteboard, grabbing a marker. "Let's look at the list of people with a license to hold a shotgun on Brescia and Lerwick." He started writing rapidly. "The Haldanes are on it. Andrew and Ronald. Joseph Wilson. Sandy." "Sandy?" Tosh asked, surprised. "Farm boy. Everyone shoots rabbits here," Jimmy explained. "Half the islands have a gun, and the other half are phoning me wanting to know what happened to Mima." His desk phone rang. He snatched it up. "Paris." "Jimmy, it's Vicky at the museum," the voice on the other end said. "Vicky, please tell me you have good news." I'm still trying to get an exact carbon date on that skull fragment from the dig, she said, her voice crackling with excitement. But the coins they found in the trench with its return dates between 1465 and 1510. The skull will probably be the same era, 15th century. Right, that's historically interesting, Vicky, but it doesn't give me a motive for a modern murder. Maybe not, Vicky said hesitantly, but there's something else. I was looking through the archives about the Shetland bus. Like you asked, there's a photograph of Mima Wilson when she was young, with a Norwegian sailor. I'll be right there, Jimmy said. Hanging up, he turned to Tosh. You're with me. We're going to the museum. As they were walking out, Sandy came rushing in, looking desperate. Inspector, I thought you were with my dad. He wants to know when my granny's body can be released for the funeral. Jimmy sighed, feeling a pang of sympathy. Well, tell him he's going to have to wait for the pathologist's report from Inverness. They need to extract the pellets and confirm the angle of the shot. I did, Sandy pleaded, but he's taking it really bad. I think having the funeral might help him find some closure. My hands are tied, Sandy, Jimmy said firmly. It's a murder investigation. The body is evidence until the Crown says otherwise. Sandy looked devastated. I want to do something. Jackie's been over, bringing food. But I don't think looking after old Andrew is easy for her. And she's hovering around my dad. It's too much. Jimmy paused, sensing the undercurrents. Sandy, there are two families here. The Wilsons and the Haldanes, related, living on top of one another for generations. One of them wealthy, one of them not. Now, I can't believe that hasn't created any tension, despite what you said yesterday. Sandy looked away, his jaw tight. She's my grandmother. What? Do you think I don't want to know who killed her? I'm not protecting anyone. I'm not accusing you of that. Sandy, just keep your eyes open and stay with your dad. Jimmy walked out, leaving Sandy standing in the middle of the bullpen, looking utterly lost. Chapter 10, Ghosts in the Archive. The Shetland Museum and Archives sat on the waterfront, a beautiful modern building that housed the rugged, bloody history of the islands. Vicky, the head archivist, was waiting for them in a small back room surrounded by boxes of yellowing documents and black and white photographs. You aren't interested in the Shetland bus, Vicky teased Jimmy as he walked in. That's ironic. You weren't when you were at school. I was your teacher. Remember? Jimmy smiled faintly. I was a terrible student. Vicky, what have you got for me? Vicky laid a fragile, silver gelatin photograph on the table under a magnifying lamp. It showed a group of young people laughing outside a stone building. Is that a young Mima Wilson? Jimmy leaned in. It is indeed. She was beautiful. And that's her husband, Jerry Wilson. And next to him is Andrew Holdan of the generation. So, Mima's husband and Jackie's father worked together. Alongside Norwegian sailors, Vicky explained, pointing to a tall, strikingly handsome blond man in the photo standing very close to Mima. Between 1940 and 45, they took spies, supplies, and large sums of money across to Norway. Sometimes they'd bring back refugees. To take the Shetland bus became a synonym for escaping the Nazis. Dangerous work, Tosh murmured, looking at the faces. So young, yet their eyes looked old. Incredibly, Vicky nodded. Anyway, not all our lads survived. Some were betrayed by a double agent. Jerry Wilson and Andrew Holdan were lucky to make it back from a botched run in 43. A double agent? Jimmy asked, his detective radar pinging. Yes, people say the Shetlanders discovered who the double agent was. A Norwegian hiding among them, and they meted out their own brutal form of justice. They killed him, Tosh asked. It's just a rumor, a ghost story, Vicky shrugged. But there's no official record of this man. She tapped the blonde man in the photo ever leaving the islands. His name was Per Lundstedt. Jimmy stared at the photograph. Mima Wilson was looking up at Per Lundstedt with an expression that was undeniably intimate. Not the look of a friend, the look of a lover. Tosh, will you wait here a minute? Jimmy said softly. Yes, sir. Tosh stepped back, sensing he needed a moment to process. Jimmy looked at Vicky. Tell her anything. Nothing seemed to shock her. Mima was a tough old bird. But if she found out that the skull dug up on her land belonged to an old lover or a murdered spy, then she'd have a reason to want the dig shut down immediately. Vicky finished the thought before they could identify the bones. Jimmy's phone buzzed aggressively in his pocket. It was Craig at the station. Boss, Craig's voice was tense. We've got a situation. A bad one. What is it? It's Ronald Holdan. He was found by the road near the Bresse Ferry Terminal, unconscious. He's been beaten half to death. Chapter 11, Retribution. The hospital room smelled of bleach and sterile gauze. Ronald Holdan lay in the bed, looking like a ruined mountain. His left eye was swollen shut, his lips split, and his arm in a cast. Jimmy stood at the foot of the bed, his face grim. Nothing on CCTV. The attack happened in a blind spot near the industrial bins. Okay. Well, you must have some idea who did this to you. Ronald. Ronald groaned, shifting painfully. It was dark, and I was, well, I'd had a few. They didn't rob you then? Jimmy asked, noting that Ronald's expensive watch was sitting on the bedside table. I don't think so. No. No. Nothing taken. Jimmy said, his voice dropping to a dangerous register. How can you be so sure it was a random attack? Why would someone beat a man of your size into a coma unless it was personal? Because people blame me. Ronald suddenly shouted, wincing as the effort tore at his ribs. The door flew open and Jackie Holdan rushed in, her face pale with fury. Get out! She screamed at Jimmy. Look at my boy. I told you not to come here and badger him. Mom, I'm fine, Ronald mumbled. Who did this? Jackie demanded, turning on Jimmy. My boy wouldn't hurt anyone, let alone his own family. Make sure people understand that. Please, everyone on the island is whispering that he shot Mima for the land. Come on, Jackie, calm down, Jimmy said, holding his hands up. You should be asking yourself who really inherits the land. Jackie spat venomously. Meaning? Well, it's not us, is it? She sneered. It's Joseph, and that useless boy of his, Sandy. Jimmy left the hospital feeling like he was wading through treacle. Every answer bred 3 new questions. Was Ronald attacked by a vigilante who thought he killed Mima? Or was he attacked by the real killer to keep him quiet? He got back into his car and drove toward the station. He needed to talk to Professor Berglund. The Aberdeen police had apprehended him at the ferry terminal and were holding him for questioning. When Jimmy walked into the Lerwick interview room, Professor Paul Berglund looked less like an esteemed academic and more like a cornered rat. He was sweating in his Gore-Tex jacket. You're a hard man to track down, Professor, Jimmy said, pulling out a chair and sitting opposite him. I was just on my way to see you on Bresse this morning when I found out you'd bolted. I didn't bolt, Berglund said defensively, his accent slightly clipped. I had a funding meeting. I had to be there in Aberdeen. The university is threatening to pull the plug on the dig. Sorry, am I to believe that your funding is more important than a murder investigation on your doorstep? Am I a suspect? Berglund countered, his eyes darting to the mirror. Well, according to your student,